Good afternoon, everyone. Jason here. Today is October 18th, and this is your aftermarket update. All right, so I had a good day here at the Oil Trading Group. In fact, ends up being a really nice trade of the day that I'm going to share with you here in just a moment. However, the day started out sort of choppy and sort of difficult, right? In fact, when I show you the trade of the day video, you're going to see that I'm down ticks on both the CL and the ES when I get into what turns out to be the final trade of the day. In other words, this one trade that is 14 ticks times 2 lots completely salvages my entire day. So I want to be clear, and I will show you this on the video when we get into it, that I was down ticks heading into this trade of the day. So not every trade of the day that you get where you make a big target is all pure profit or positive ticks. Sometimes you're having to recover, and that's trading. And so what I want to share with you here today is that it's not always an easy thing to do. It's not always first trade of the day you win 14 points and off you go. There are those days where you do start underwater like I did here today. And so, in fact, what you're going to see is you're going to see me get into simultaneously an ES trade and a CL trade. I'm in 2 lots on the ES and I'm in 1 lot on the CL. On the CL trade, I'm going to get stopped out for 14 ticks. And so I just couldn't get it right over on the CL today. On the ES, I had a really nice trade to start the morning and then ended up not making as much as I could because the market didn't go all the way to the target. And then I ended up taking a couple of losing trades as the market was kind of whipsawing around today. So we're still in that real extra high volatility kind of marketplace. And so what I would suggest, if you find yourself struggling to keep up, reduce the risk. There's no reason why you can't reduce the amount of risk that you're starting out with. So if you're a 3-lot trader, trade 2 lots. If you're a 2-lot, trade 1 lot, right? If you are finding yourself being knocked out and then quitting because the market is just too volatile, try reducing your risk would be my recommendation. But what you are going to see at the end of the day here, and again, you're watching this on a YouTube channel where there are literally pages and pages and pages of me with videos doing these kinds of things. Sometimes they're the first trade, sometimes it's towards the middle or end of my session. But when we catch these big runners, that's what they're designed to do, is to make up for any potential losing that you have, right? So you can have a small winning percentage, but if your risk reward is in line, and today on this particular trade, it was a 6-to-1 reward to risk. When you can have those kinds of trades, it can make up for a lot of the issues that maybe you suffered going into that particular trade. And so don't get me wrong, I am all for winning every single trade that I take, but I know that that's not going to be the reality. And so what I try to do is make up for those particular losses by having some big returns on trades. So let's talk about what I did here today. This chart's a little bit messy. I'm going to turn off these overnight levels for just a moment. We're going to look at what was going on when I decided to get into this trade. So we had a level here in the overnight session. You can see that we kind of boxed in, and if you move this to here, this range was kind of where price action had been finding support in that overnight session. We sold off underneath, and we'd gotten in on some of this here, and then the market begins to rally up, and we had this identified, this area here at 97 identified as a potential pause point because of the amount of time that the market had spent rotating around that particular level. So this blue line above you represents a top and the sweet spot retracement area. That's what that represents here for us today. Market comes down into this 2802 half, which again was an area from which we had bounced. And so once we rallied back into this zone, we could not make it to the level above the structure mid. It was a pretty good indication to us that the market was going to sell off underneath this 0175. So what you're going to hear me do is get in when the market comes down to this 0175 level. We get in, the trade almost immediately works out in our favor, and then we begin to look to hold to this extension 1 down below. Market comes in, begins to rotate, we go back and forth. We get that 1 bar into the close, and then eventually on this 5-minute bar, it just comes down and completely takes out our target. So that was 0175. We had 87.75 here, this structure target market maker level. It comes down and completely goes through it. Had we been having a better day leading into that, we could have been looking to target all the way down to this level at 70, and you can see how the market comes down and then again respects that market structure target and rallies all the way back up to this structure signal level before it continues to push down later in the session. But for us, we ended up with this structure move into this structure point. We had a reason to get short. We could not get to the level above. We had a sweet spot retracement represented by this blue line. And we knew that if we couldn't get to the level above and we broke through this structure signal, we were going to come down and test this area of support. And then once we made it down to the structure target, we were looking to target our extension 1. And that is what ended up happening as we made our way all the way down into that level for a 14-point or 6-to-1 reward to risk trade on the ES. So what I'm going to do is what I always do. I'm going to take that trade of the day video. I'm going to cut it into pieces, speed it up, put some music behind it. You'll be able to hear where I get in, and you'll see where we exit. And so I want you to pay attention to the top of the price ladders. At the beginning of the trade, you're going to see that I'm down ticks heading into that trade, and then you can see how all of those ticks were made up by the time we get to the end of the trade. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And without further ado, here is that OTG trade of the day. 0175 on the ES. Stop on the CL. 49. Stop on the ES. 04.